Power changes people, control changes relationships, and sometimes we don't even realize when it is happening. You may think power only exists in politics, money, or leadership, but power exists in everyday conversations, in silence, in attention, in who speaks first, in who apologizes, in who decides. Power's not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it looks like love. Sometimes it feels like protection. But underneath it, there is always one question: who has control? And power is the ability to influence, control is the ability to direct, and they are related, but they're not the same. Power can be invisible. Control is usually visible. Power can exist without force. Control often uses force, pressure, or manipulation. When someone has power, they can shape outcomes. When someone seeks control, they try to reduce uncertainty. At its core, power is about influence. Control is about fear. Humans seek power because the brain seeks safety. When you feel powerless, your nervous system feels threatened. Power gives predictability. Predictability gives safety. This is why people try to control their environment, their partners, their reputation, their image, their future. It is rarely about dominance. It is usually about fear. The human brain is wired to understand hierarchy. Even in small groups, the brain quickly asks, who leads? Who follows? Who decides? This is not evil. It is survival instinct. In early human groups, knowing your position meant survival. If you understood your role, you were safer. Today, the instinct remains. We still scan for status. We still notice authority. We still react to dominance. Healthy power looks like leadership. Unhealthy power looks like control. Healthy power encourages growth, respects boundaries, builds others up. Unhealthy power limits choices, creates fear, demands obedience. The difference is intention. Is the power used to protect or to dominate? Yet a control gives immediate relief. When you control something, anxiety drops. When outcomes feel uncertain, the brain becomes restless. Control reduces that restlessness. This is why people micromanage. This is why some partners monitor messages. This is why some leaders demand constant updates. Control calms fear, but only temporarily. Power in relationships is rarely obvious. It shows up in small ways. Who makes decisions? Who apologizes first? Who adjusts more? Who carries emotional weight? Sometimes power hides inside kindness. Sometimes it hides inside silence. And sometimes it hides inside guilt. Silence can be power. Withdrawing affection can be control. Ignoring messages can be strategy. The brain reacts strongly to uncertainty. When someone pulls away, the other person feels anxious. That anxiety creates imbalance. Imbalance creates power shift. Silence is not always peaceful. Sometimes it is leverage. Manipulation is hidden control. It is influence without transparency. It may sound like if you cared, you would. After everything I did, I guess I'll just do it myself. These statements create pressure. Pressure reduces freedom, and reduced freedom increases control. Some people feel deep fear of chaos. They may have grown up in unstable environments. They may fear abandonment. They may fear losing respect. For them, control is not about hurting others. It is about preventing pain. But when control becomes constant, it suffocates connection. The need for power often comes from insecurity. If someone feels small inside, they may try to feel big outside. Power becomes compensation. Control becomes armor. The stronger the insecurity, the stronger the need to dominate. Confident people do not need to prove control constantly. People respond to authority automatically. If someone sounds confident, we assume competence. If someone speaks firmly, we assume knowledge. The brain prefers certainty. Authority provides that certainty. That is why people follow strong leaders, even flawed ones. Confidence can feel like truth, even when it is not. Power becomes dangerous when it removes autonomy. When someone cannot say no, when someone feels trapped, when someone feels afraid to speak, that is not leadership. That is domination. True power does not need fear. If fear is required, it is not strength, it is insecurity. Submission is not always weakness. Sometimes it feels easier. When someone takes control, responsibility decreases, decision fatigue drops, certainty increases. The brain sometimes prefers comfort over independence. That is why people stay in controlling systems. Predictability feels safe. Personal power begins with awareness. Ask yourself, where do I feel small? Where do I over-control? Where do I avoid speaking up? Power is not about dominating others. It is about regulating yourself. When you can manage your fear, you need less control. Healthy relationships balance power. One person does not always lead. One person does not always give in. Power shifts naturally, like conversation, like breath. Rigid power creates tension. Balanced power creates trust. Letting go of control feels scary because uncertainty feels scary. But growth requires uncertainty. Connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability requires risk. Control protects you from risk, but it also protects you from intimacy. Power is not the enemy. Control is not always evil. They're human responses to fear. The real question is not who has power. The real question is, why do I need it? When you understand your fear, you need less control. When you build internal stability, you seek less dominance. True strength is not controlling others, it is controlling your own reaction. And that kind of power does not threaten anyone, it frees them.
Support the channel, hit the like and subscribe button.